Hello, welcome to Aussie Indian, and I have one of the legends of Australian cricket, Dougie Walters. Dougie, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you again.
Thank you very much. And of course, you have been following, I'm sure, the ongoing series between Australia and India. And India came with a lot of promise. They are the world champions in one-day format, and they were the number 2 test-playing nation in the world. But what do you think if I ask you to put a finger on a couple of things which resulted in the disappointing performance of the Indians here down under?
Yeah, they've been really disappointing. We come to expect a good close series against India, and particularly in Australia. It hasn't worked out this year. I guess the Indian side have got to make some changes to their batting lineup. I mean, they've got some ageing players, there's no doubt about that. They've been great players for a long, long time. But time comes, time catches up, age just catches up with everyone, unfortunately.
Of course.
And I think it's time now that the Indians cricket side find some more batsmen. I think the bowlers have done a reasonable job. I think they've been a little bit unlucky, some of the bowlers, the faster bowlers. The spin bowlers have been a little disappointing too. We come to expect that from an Indian team that we see top class Indian spin bowlers, but we haven't quite seen them either this year.
Yeah, you saw some of the innings like Virat Kohli came up with this century just the other day, and also he scored the only century by the Indian batsman in the Test series. So is it time for, as you said, the aging stars of the Indian cricket like the Tendulkar, Dravid and Lakshman and people like that to make way for the youngsters?
Yeah, I think unfortunately they've got to do that. I mean, Kohli's century the other day was absolutely sensational, but we expected more from those top line batsmen, which we didn't see.
Of course. And what do you think of IPL, which is now pouring so much money into cricket? And of course, cricketers are getting their fair share of the money. But at the same time, do you think that the cricket administrators around the world are under pressure to keep those people playing Test cricket and one-day cricket and wear the national jersey and feel proud for their country?
Yeah, I think they've got to step in pretty soon and make it all players must be available for all forms of cricket, not just for 20-20 cricket or 50-50 cricket. They have to be available for the whole 3 forms of cricket, in my opinion, otherwise they're not selected in any form.
But what about the commercialization of cricket itself? Has that spoiled the traditional form of the game?
Well, it will. You'll get guys like the West Indian Gale, who just wants to play 20-20 cricket all around the world, and he won't be available to play Test cricket. Now, Test cricket certainly still has to be number 1 form of cricket, any cricket.
Right.
So unless they're available, that's what I'm saying, unless they're available for Test cricket, they shouldn't be allowed to play any cricket.
Well, even Australia hosted the KFC Big Bash, a successful one, and they attracted a lot of big crowds. So that questions what would be the future of Test cricket.
Yeah, probably. I mean, 20-20 cricket, I mean, 50-50 cricket, it will die a natural death, I feel, and has all but died a natural death. 20-20 cricket is very exciting cricket. I think there's room for certainly both. I'm not sure there's room for the 3 forms of cricket, but 20-20, that's what people want to watch. That's what they want to go and take their children to watch. 50-50 is too long. It's a long, boring day, it can be some days. I mean, a bad 50-50 game you've got to put up with for 8 hours. A bad 20-20 game you've only got to put up with for a couple of hours, haven't you?
Well, coming to the Australian side, of course, there is a change of guard in terms of captaincy. Do you think Michael Clarke has passed his real test as a captain?
Yes, I do. I think he's done a fantastic job this season. I mean, it certainly hasn't affected his own form. In fact, I think it's enhanced his own batting talents. He's had a fantastic year, and well, Australia are on the road to recovery a little bit quicker than I thought they were going to be.
And of course, the real test comes when they front the Ashes series in England. And do you think that this team can bring back the Ashes?
Yeah, we've got to find perhaps another batsman or 2 ourselves. I mean, it's okay to say that Indian batsmen are getting over the hill. We've got a couple of batsmen who are not getting any younger on our side too. I'm not sure they're going to be around for our next trip to England. So we've got to find a couple of young batsmen, but we've got plenty of bowling stocks, young, good bowling stocks. If we can keep on the paddock without them getting injured every second game, then we've got a pretty good chance of beating England, particularly on their own soil, because these bowlers will bowl well over there.
What about the new finds like Graham Cummins and Pattison? Filling those gaps, do you think they have been able to ably fill those big shoes of Glenn McGrath and others?
Well, I think they've done a fantastic job so far. Pat Cummins, if we can get him back on the paddock sooner rather than later, would be a great bonus. But the other guys have done a fantastic job, and I think they've stepped up to the plate very quickly.
And the new crop of batsmen like Dave Warner, Peter Forrest, and Ed Cowan. What do you think of those new breed of batsmen who are filling those retirements?
Well, so far, so good. They've done a very good job so far. I mean, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge yet before they pass get their stamp of approval into Test cricket, but they've certainly accepted the challenges to date. Hopefully a tour of the West Indies will bring them on a little bit further and quicker. So perhaps they'll be ready to fill in the Ponting and the Hussey shoes.
Well, dumping of Ponting from the one-day team, do you think that's unfair for a person who has scored so many runs and who has done so well in the past?
Well, unbelievable that you've got to score runs to hold your position, no matter what team that you should be playing in. And I think the selectors have said, okay, your form during the Test series was good, but you've had 5 chances in the one-day series. Bad luck. We've got to give someone else a chance. And I think particularly when you get to the age of 36 and 37, things can't be getting any easier. Perhaps he was a little bit unfairly treated, but no, we've got to promote youth.
And talking about selection, of course, there were some strange selections in the last season, dumping of Catich, for example, who was an informed batsman. What do you think of those selections?
Yeah, that wasn't a good start to the season. I mean, he was not given an Australian Cricket Board contract. I don't know for why. I guess we've overcome those problems now, and Catich is not going to come back to play for Australia, so we've got to get on with life.
Yes. Well, there is this unfortunate thing that home ground advantage. For example, England beat India in the one-day series 4-0, and they come to India and they get beaten 4-0. How do we address this inequality, the home ground advantage, which weighs in so heavily on the touring team?
I don't know. I guess whatever team should have an advantage if they're playing on their home soil, they normally do have for a start, because they're normally used to playing on certain types of wickets. We've perhaps prepared the wickets with a little bit more grass on them this year than normal to suit our bowlers. Our bowlers have done a fantastic job, but our batsmen have still scored runs. If your batsmen don't score runs, then your bowlers don't have a chance of bowling the other side out twice. They've been able to bowl them out twice, so I don't think there's been too much wrong with the wickets.
Yes. Dougie, you're happy to come back to your old club and celebrate year after year. We are seeing some of the young players coming up. What do you think of the Parramatta League's district producing some of those players like you and Richie?
Yes, there's plenty of room for some more players to come through, and I know there's some very talented young players in the club, and we want them to come through sooner rather than later, and I think there's one or two that might have a good opportunity of doing that.
Right. Enjoy your day, Dougie. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Pleasure. Nice to be with you.
Thanks a lot.